Hey, today I'm going to talk about how the macro and micro influences affect the fast fashion industry. So, I'm going to start with an introduction, then personal analysis, competition, customer segments, and lastly, patterns of buyer behavior. So, what is fast fashion? I've got a quote on there by Britannica to help you understand, but in my own words, fast fashion can be identified as clothing directly matching or copying higher end fashion brands or trends popular for temporary periods of time, leading to these clothes to be lower in quality and cheaper, to allow for a larger demographic to afford such pieces without causing an unsustainable profit margin for the company. The fast fashion industry is worth $150.82 billion, growing by 10.74% since 2024, and is expected to reach $291.1 billion by 2032. So, these trends are so easily spotted and created through the use of social media. Each video or photo posted by both larger companies and individuals influence or market style and fashion to consumers, leading to popularity of specific fashion, forcing fast fashion companies to meet this trend of new clothing. The main company I'll be discussing in this presentation to use as an example is Shein. It was founded in 2008, originally created as a retailer for wedding dresses, but quickly changed to fast fashion in 2012. Focusing on women's fashion, popularity grew over time with around 211.2 million website visits in 2024 alone. Leading fast fashion brands by market share in the US. On the left here, I have a little infographic, just to make it a little easier to understand. But in words, Shein has the largest market share at 50%, followed by Zara at 13, H&M 16, Fashion Nova 11, Forever 21 at 6, and other fast fashion brands collectively having 4. To put this in perspective for you, Shein closed 2024 with a turnover of $37 billion, up 20% on the previous year. In contrast, Zara, which is in second place there, had a turnover that shows the massive contrast from one to another. Pestle analysis. So I'm going to break this down into the different factors, starting with political. Political factors is the extent to which the government and government policies impact an organization or specific industry. For example, political policy, stability, and taxation policies. Then there's economic factors, impact on the economy and its performance, which in turn directly impacts the organization and its profitability. For example, interest rates, employment, unemployment, raw material costs, and foreign exchange rates. Then we've got social factors, the social environment and identifying emerging trends. Further understand consumer needs and wants in a social setting. For example, changing family demographic, education levels, cultural trends, and changes in lifestyle. Moreover, we have technological factors. You need to consider the rate of technological innovation and development that could affect a market or industry. For example, advances in technology, AI, automation, research and development, and distribution. Environmental factors, factors influenced by the surrounding environment and the impact of ecological aspects, with the rise of the importance of the CSR, which is the corporate social responsibility, and sustainability. This element is becoming more central in how organizations need to conduct their business. This includes things like climate change, carbon footprint, and sustainability initiatives. Legal factors. An organization must understand what is legal and allowed within the territories they operate in. They must also be aware of any operations and change in legislation and the impact this may have on their operations. For example, employment, consumer law, health and safety regulations, and trade restrictions. Political factors and legal factors often get confused, as they do have a crossover. However, the main difference is that political factors are led by government policy, whereas legal factors must be complied with. Pestle analysis is incredibly useful as it allows us to understand external macro factors and how they affect corporation, allowing strategic planning and decision making, helping to increase the sustainability and future of the business. So I'm going to break it down and relate it more to the fast fashion industry itself. So one major political impact for the fast fashion industry in the US is a recent election. Around 98% of clothes consumed in the US is imported. This means that each election, import tariffs are altered and will affect the fashion industry's bottom line. Fashion Drive states that investigations have found that Shein and Temu avoid certain import tariffs because of the low-priced products. Although the US is now under new supervision, it's important to look at how previous regulations affect the fashion industry. Specifically, the fast fashion industry is shown above. It's seen that changes in policy typically can be avoided by large businesses, like Shein. However, smaller businesses are typically victim of these changes and can be catastrophic. Changes in the political state of the US has meant that the popularity of Shein can change quite a bit. For example, if they can only import a certain amount of things, Shein is quite popular for the fact that they have so many options on their website. And if they can only have packages up to £800, it reduces the amount people can buy from their brand, as Shein is located in China. Economic analysis. Economic changes in the business environment affect all industries, although most industries suffer when the economy is at a lower state. The fast fashion industry tends to thrive. Buying cheap, low-quality clothes means that people are able to have new clothes and accessories regardless of the general state of the economy. The cost of living in the US has increased rapidly, causing consumers to prefer or require cheaper options. To look at the statistics for the US cost of living 2025, we can see prices rose most in the grocery groups, seen in the Consumer Price Index from Jan to September. These include meats, poultry and fish, up 4.5%, non-alcoholic beverages up 2.8%, and fruits and vegetables up 1.3%, meaning people have less money for unessential products like clothes. In correlation, Shein, the leading fast fashion brand, has sales increase alongside this, as shown in infographic 2. Cheaper options for these unessential products are utilised in times like these. However, declining economy can negatively impact the fast fashion. Look at the introduction of new tariffs. This means Shein was forced to increase prices or use different, less effective manufacturers, negatively affecting the company and its profits, as well as making it more difficult for customers to match the new prices and accessibility of the products. Social factors have a major influence on the success or demise of any fashion brand. Consumers' opinions and views of a brand hold a massive weight on the success of a brand. One clear example of this is the controversy surrounding many fast fashion brands on the environmental impact of their production. More than a third of Americans believe fast fashion customers do not care about the environmental impact their choices have, as seen in infographic 3. This creates a hostile environment for customers who do want to purchase from the fast fashion industry. It can influence people to choose other places to purchase their clothing, despite clear willingness to spend more on quality. There is no clear overwhelming commitment to sustainability. Around 3 in 10 consumers, or 29%, agree that they only buy clothes from sustainable brands, while 47% disagree, compared to the 60% of low-income earners indicating a willingness to invest in quality. The social stigma that surrounds the fast fashion industry should be detrimental to brands such as Shein. However, they are known for having poor quality, poor working conditions, and disappointing environmental care. They are still the most successful fast fashion brand, clearly demonstrating a leniency in social laws of fast fashion when it comes to major brands such as Shein. Technological analysis. Advances in technology can be seen as one of the top reasons fast fashion brands are so popular. Technology has influenced fast fashion in a number of ways, allowing for a more streamlined production, purchase, and transportation process. This development and use defines the fast fashion industry. Whether it's allowing online purchases or digital marketing, technology has paved the way for fast fashion functions in the business environment. More recently, the invention and integration of AI has caused major changes in how the fast fashion industry runs. AI is most typically used by brands to help address supply chain challenges. For example, AI can aid in demand forecasting using past patterns and social media trends to provide accurate forecasting. Moreover, AI can help through inventory management done by continuous analysis of sales data. Quality control, a task once dependent on human work, can also be streamlined by AI, allowing for quicker, more precise and cheaper production. Shein uses pattern identification algorithms, also known as machine learning applications, to measure customer preferences and predict demand in real time. This allows them to stay ahead of other fast fashion brands, helping them stay securely top of the industry. Shein uses AI in a number of positions, reducing not only the time needed to complete a task, but also reduces staffing needs, saving the company substantial amounts of money. Environmental analysis. The fast fashion industry has a substantial impact on the environment, being the second biggest consumer of water and is responsible for 10% of carbon emissions worldwide. 85% of textiles goes to dumps each year. Although sounding detrimental on its own, we also need to consider the negative effects in the process of washing our clothes, releasing 500,000 tons of microfibers into the ocean each year. We need to look into what specifically within the industry is causing these figures. According to the Qantas International 2018 report, the three major factors are the dyeing and finishing of clothes, yarn preparation, and fiber production, adding up to 79% of the problem. The report also established the fiber production has the largest impact on freshwater withdrawal and ecosystem quality due to the cotton cultivation, while the dyeing and finishing, yarn preparation, and fiber production stages have the highest impacts on resource depletion due to the energy-intensive process based on fossil fuel energy. Furthermore, one key part of the fast fashion is how quickly they keep up with trends, but also how quickly they drop previous trends and products to do so. The fast fashion industry creates around 92 million tons of textile waste annually, with less than 1% actually being recycled. Having such massive impacts of the global environmental state, the fast fashion industry is desperately looking for different ways to improve. Shein emits around 6.3 billion kilograms of carbon dioxide each year. The company has also come under fire for textile waste, high levels of microplastic pollution, and exploitative labour practices. Polyester, a synthetic textile known for shedding microplastics into the environment, makes up 76% of its total fabrics, and only 6% of that polyester is recycled. Although known to be bad for the environment, Shein has also strived to improve this with their waste less innovation. This initiative strives to become a global leader in waste, engage the majority of Shein's customers in circularity by 2035, that's meant to say, and establish a fully circular textile supply chain by 2050, in alignment with our World Circular Textiles Day commitment. Legal analysis. The fast fashion industry must also follow a wide number of laws, most notably labour rights and consumer protection. The most recent labour rights development in China, where Shein is based, in the late 2024 and 2025 focus on protecting older workers, clarifying non-compete clauses, and updating rules for the gig economy. Furthermore, the Consumer Protection Acts were updated recently in July 2024, with changes to implementing regulation on the PRC consumer rights and interest protection law. For a business to continue running, they have no choice but to comply with these regulations, otherwise by law they are not permitted to run. Shein has a human rights policy stated on their website. Some key points are rejecting forced labour, harassment, discrimination, and unsafe working conditions for our employees, as well as we do not employ children or prison labourers, and we recognise our responsibilities extend throughout our supply chains and expect suppliers to share our commitment to human rights. The above quotes imply Shein complies with all labour right laws, meaning they're safe from compulsory liquidation. Competition. There are three types of competition: actual, potential, and emerging. So actual competition can be defined as a rivalry between two companies selling similar products or services, both companies aiming for the same customers and gaining market shares. These companies usually have similar pricing strategies, quality of products, and marketing initiatives. Then potential competition. Potential competition are future rivals yet to be active in the industry, but pose threat to becoming actual competition once entering this industry. Typically, this type of competition can be seen as disciplinary measures, weighing on current businesses to aim to be better than the potential this new business holds. Emerging competition are firms that have already entered that market sector, but are not yet significant enough to be actually a threat. These businesses must be watched as they can sneak up on you and overtake you if you're too focused on the actual competition instead. In a wider perspective, the fast fashion industry is in direct actual competition with the fast fashion industry, as they have similar products and customer needs. A potential competitor for the fast fashion industry are resellers or secondhand shops. Although they are not exactly the same products, they typically have similar pricing strategies as both aim for cheaper pricing. However, most secondhand shops are physical shops, so it's not quite in the same sector as fast fashion. An emerging competition for fast fashion would be clothing rental businesses who, similar to fast fashion, allow customers to get new clothes aligned with trends regularly. They differ. The fast fashion gives new clothes every time. Yet with rentals, you must return the clothes before getting a new set matching the new trend. Furthermore, rental services have very little market share and aren't overly popular in comparison, but are online, so in the same market. To look more closely, we can use the example of Shein once more. Shein's actual competition would be brands like Temu or AliExpress, both online stores with similar products, low pricing, and same low quality. These brands pose a direct threat to Shein as they are incredibly similar and hold significant market shares. Potential threats for Shein must be considered as Oxfam, Thrift Plus, or Loopy. These businesses have physical stores differing them from Shein, but could also choose to go online and join the market, becoming emerging or actual competition. Lastly, emerging competition for Shein could be Something Borrowed or Her, both are wedding dress rental brands with online platforms. Shein started as a wedding dress retailer before developing their current products, but they still include wedding dresses in their sales. These businesses show emerging threats as they are already in the sector of online and cheaper alternatives, and they can follow trends, but do not yet have the popularity or market share to become actual threats. So we've got customer segments. Customer segmentation is a crucial tool many businesses use to help align their strategy and tactics with current and future targets. Customers and customer journey differ greatly within one sector, so one method won't work for all. Customer segmentation is the process of dividing your customers based on similar characteristics. This helps marketers effectively reach groups of customers rather than poorly reach one massive group. One type of customer segmentation industries rely on is behavioral segmentation. Behavioral segmentation divides customers into groups based on their actual behavior and choices. Behavior segmentation has a massive influence of fast fashion, as changes in their clothing trends will cause a brand such as Shein to need to change their products to match. Therefore, behavioral segmentation is easily the most important segment for the fast fashion industry. Another type of customer segmentation the fast fashion industry benefits from is psychographic segmentation, which divide groups based on personality, values, and interests, so it can help the fast fashion industry when looking at potential customers or types of clothes to sell. This allows brands to create new products that appeal to these personalities, values, and interests. Thirdly, technographic segmentation, which divides customers by their technological uses. This is helpful to some fast fashion, such as those who have both physical and online stores, but for brands with online or physical only, this is somewhat obsolete, as they only really have one type within this segment. Demographics, although insightful, may not be overly useful for the fast fashion industry, as clothes have no specific gender or age. A demographic is the structure, key behaviors, or information about a group. Demographics can be based on things like age, gender, class, and location. So lastly, I'm going to talk about some patterns of buyer behavior. I've made a little infographic there just to show you what the main points are that I will be covering. So one behavior fundamental to the fast fashion is the cycle of demand. Fast fashion thrives on quickly changing trends social media provides, as they can cheaply and with poor quality, therefore quickly, make these trends before other fast fashion brands do, or other fashion brands do. They use perceived need to constantly update one's wardrobe, to get out as many designs, therefore sales, as possible with each trend. Impulse buying is a major behavior fast fashion appreciates. The low price and ease fast fashion provides means customers can purchase without deep thought, leading to more unnecessary purchases. Shifting consumer mindset is vital for fast fashion. Although many people are looking to be more sustainable, fast fashion brands use their influence, and they can shift the mindset back so that people purchase their goods anyway. The low cost of fast fashion products often cause perceived value for the goods, which typically convinces customers to buy the products fast fashion brands offer. So overall, I have looked at some micro influences, the buyer, the customer segmentation, and the competition, as well as the macro, which is the pestle analysis. Overall, we can see that these macro and micro trends influence the fast fashion industry and how they run and cause many changes over recent years. Thank you.